A very warm greetings to one and all present here. Dear authors and invited guests, welcome to the technical session 6C. Myself, Gargi Kalra, and this session would be moderated by me. On behalf of Global Knowledge Research Foundation, it is my great pleasure to welcome you all to the 7th World Conference on Smart Trends in System, Security and Sustainability, London, UK. The 7th edition of the conference is being organized in a hybrid mode. The physical event was held in London, UK on 21st of August 2023, and the virtual event is being held through Zoom yesterday and today, that is 23rd and 24th of August 2023. I hope you will enjoy the knowledgeable and interactive sessions through the day. In this session, we have 6 presentations. Each presenter will be given 12 minutes for the presentation and 3 minutes for questions and answers. On every 10 minutes, I will raise a gentle reminder. There is another request to all the participants that you all stay connected with us till the closing remarks. If you have any query or update, then you can write it to me in the chat box. Just before we start the session, we would like to introduce you all with today's session chairs. So, firstly, we have Dr. Shafi Pathan, currently working as a professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at MIT SOE, MIT ADT University, India. Dr. Pathan has 23 years of experience. He completed his PhD in CSE from JNTU. Also, he is handling project management, deployment of projects, and resource management. Then we have Dr. Baitan Mishra, and she is currently working as an assistant professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at Techno International, Newtown, Kolkata, West Bengal, India. She has served as reviewer in many peer-reviewed journals and conferences. Her main research interests include optimization techniques, deep learning, evolutionary algorithms, and soft computing techniques. We welcome you both in this session, and if you both want to share your views for the session, then you can.
Thank you, Gargi, for the wonderful introduction. You can start the session now.
Thank you, Gargi, and it's a pleasure to be part of this. Please proceed.
Okay, so let's move to the presentations. Firstly, we have the paper, Cybersecurity in University Students, a systematic review of the literature. And this will be presented by Chiara. You can share your screen and start the presentation.
Good afternoon. Okay. Good afternoon. I am Nilupo Moreno Chiara. I will talk about cybersecurity in university, studying a systematic review of the literature. My co-authors, Juan Luis Salas Riega, Mario Ninakis Pesoto, and Yasmina Griega Viru. The study deals the analysis of information published in the scientific literature regarding the knowledge that university students have about cybersecurity. A systematic review methodology was applied considering the identification, evaluation, selection, and synthesis of articles published during the years 2018-2023. The terms of reference were awareness of university students in cybersecurity in the Scopus, the ALNet, Science Direct, a Web of Science database. The 7 criteria include were gender, men and women, response ability among university students and other actors, whether it's relevant to the knowledge, aptitude, behavior of the population study, and the population study in general, among university students and other actors. A total of 1,089 articles were obtained from the search process, 64 in Scopus, 18 in the ALNet, 965 and Science Direct, and 42 in Web of Science. After applying the inclusion and exclusion criteria, 25 articles described in the graph were selected. it can be seen that Scopus is the most relevant with 19 articles. Analysis of the results. 14 countries talk about the subject. The countries with the large number agreed study are the USA and Saudi Arabia. They agree that the human factor is the one that needs training to reduce the consequence of the little importance of the cybersecurity in universities. Of the four identified methodologies, the descriptive quantitative is the most used in the study, followed by the other three on the chart. Of the 25 articles, 14 analyze gender, 21 the total population, 24 the knowledge for the aptitude to the behavior of the total population, and 7 teach cybersecurity. Of 25 articles, 14 have developed the impact of the gender. 8 only mentioned in a 6-row conclusion. Most studies have concluded that women have great the knowledge in cybersecurity. 20 analyze the people. 15 studies have exclusively measured the university population. 5 studied to the university population and other actors. 2 were systematic review of the subject, and 3 university teaching proposal of cybersecurity. 11 articles analyze the validity of the response. 2 articles carry on comparative analysis. Of the team from the computer science students have created the knowledge about cybersecurity. 7 articles talk about the importance of teaching cybersecurity in universities. One of them found that students are willing to learn. How educational resources do not exist, or if they do exist, they are not enough. We conclude that very few countries are interested in reinforcing the knowledge of cybersecurity in university students. Countries neglect cybersecurity to careers of sound computer science. However, cybercriminals do not discriminate by major. They simply attack the most vulnerable. We suggested the future study follow the CAT model, the knowledge, aptitude, and behavior, and the theory of planet behavior. Thanks.
Thank you for the presentation. If anyone is having any questions, then you can ask.
Very nice presentation, Kiara. I have some small queries actually. You have said that you have selected particularly 25 articles, right? Can you please unmute?
Yes.
Okay, so can you please explain how you have selected this particular 25 articles, means which criteria you have chosen to select particularly this 25? You are on mute, I think.
Sorry. Um, the
You are on mute.
Considering the identification, evaluation, selection, and synthesis of articles published during the years 2018-2083.
Kiara, you are on mute.
Hi, so I'm gonna answer the questions. I'm gonna help answering the questions. So for the first question regarding why these 25 articles were selected, it was because these 25 articles talk about education in cybersecurity. That's mainly the main reason. And then we just like focus our attention in the criteria that we mentioned. But basically, it was because of education in cybersecurity, and we only managed to find 25 articles.
Okay. One more thing. Like you have used Scopus database and World of Science, so many databases. So there may be some article overlap. Have you taken any remedy to remove the overlapped articles, or you did not get any?
Okay, just a second. Yeah, that's correct. There's like an overlapping among these 25 articles. That's why we just like counted all these criteria, like sometimes 2 times or 3 times, because each article had like could repeat these criteria. And we follow the KAP model, which is like the knowledge, attitude, behavior, and yeah, basically that.
Okay, thank you. And that's all from my side.
Thank you.
Anyone having any further questions?
No questions from my side. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation. So let's move to the next one.
Thank you.
And the next presentation is dynamic data inclusion with sliding window, and this will be presented by Dominic. You can share your screen and start the presentation.
All right. Can you all hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we do. We can hear you.
Very good. Okie doke. Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to my presentation on dynamic data reduction with the sliding window method. My name is Dominic Sarnison. I'm a PhD researcher at Brunel University, London. All right, next slide, please. Right, to start, I will describe the difference between model-centric and data-centric AI. Model-centric AI focuses on improving AI performance by improving the model's architecture or the code, usually by including more complex computations or adding more network layers. Data-centric AI focuses on improving performance by manipulating the dataset used for the training, for example, by data augmentation. Model-centric AI is popular but unsustainable. Modern examples, such as the very famous ChatGPT, require extremely large amounts of processing power, and there is an attitude to just throw more data at the problem to improve performance. But data-centric AI tries to find the best way of using the data, not just to use more of it. So my work investigates the effects of reducing the data used in training. The idea is that some data is more useful than others, and focus may be given to that data. Therefore, data may be reduced while performance is maintained. Okay, on to the aim. The aims of this research are to develop an algorithm that focuses on a particular set of data at varying stages of training. We will test this model with different parameters to identify the best performing system and observe the effects of data reduction across multiple datasets. So, how do we categorize our data? We can use a dimensionality reduction method, such as UMAP, on a dataset, which gives each data point, each image in a dataset in my case, a coordinate which can be displayed in Euclidean space. This allows us to plot each data point on a graph, which is visually easier for us, an example of which is on the right here. So this image shows data points of a single class in the micro PCB dataset. We can see there is not an even distribution of images. It's not all spread out evenly. And also the center point is not at the 0, 0 position, but rather 0, 5. So the center is not at the origin. In any case, we can use this method to cluster data points that are similar to each other together. Alternatively, we can order each data point based on their distance from the class's centroid. This way, we can focus on data closer to the centroid or further at different times during training. So, experimental methods. Our experiments use a small window of data each epoch of training. Each epoch, the window slides slightly across the dataset. Experimented with various combinations of window size, which corresponds to how much data is used each training epoch, and the direction of the sliding window. On the right here, we can see on the left two graphs, a window size of 20% of the data set. It's a lot more thin. And on the right, a window size of 80% of the data set. The two upper graphs in blue show the data flowing from the centralmost data, that is the data closest to the class's centroid, to the lateralmost, which is the data furthest from the class's centroid, while the lower two graphs in orange show the data flowing in the opposite direction. We define the central to lateral direction as the forward direction, and the lateral to central as reverse. Before we move on to the results of the experimentation, a few details about the datasets used. We used 5 datasets in total. 3 are small image datasets, very popular MNIST, CIFAR10, and SmallNorb, and 2 larger datasets, ImageNet and MicroPCB. It's not the big ImageNet that we might be familiar with, but a small partition of it with only 10 classes. A 9-layer CNN was used for the smaller images, and an 11-layer CNN was used for the larger ones. Now on to the experimental results, which I will review by dataset. So start with MNIST. Graph here shows accuracies achieved for each window size experimented with, in both forward and reverse directions, forward being in blue and reverse in orange. Firstly, you can observe that with a window size of 10%, we still achieve an accuracy of 99.353%, which is only 0.038% different from the baseline. In this experiment, we have reduced the number of evaluations performed by 90% and reduced the runtime of this experiment by about 81%, which is quite good, I think. As we increase the window size, accuracy increases slightly as well as the runtime. One important take is that in all experiments, except with a window size of 95%, the forward direction outperforms the reverse. This suggests that the centralmost data is more useful at the beginning of training, and the lateralmost data is more useful towards the end. Right, next dataset is CIFAR10. The pattern is similar to that of MNIST we just saw. As we increase the window size, accuracy and runtime increase as well. However, due to the more complex nature of the data, the accuracy reduction with the 10% window size is larger at 14.717%. Here we go. Next up is the SmallNorb dataset. This dataset is a lot more structured than the previously shown datasets. It uses images of 3D objects at different angles and rotations. There are only 5 classes as well in this dataset. The results here are a lot less structured. Firstly, with a window size of 10%, we achieve an accuracy of 81.057%, which is 12% roughly less than the baseline. This is a significant drop. There is a significant drop with runtime of only 48%, whereas with the previous 2 datasets we saw about 80%. This may be due to the small dataset size and lower overall runtime. Next point to look at is that a majority of the window sizes perform better in the reverse direction, unlike what we saw before. So the orange bars are bigger. Also, the graph shows that some of the experiments perform better than the benchmark, strangely. However, the p-values were also calculated for each experiment, and they show that these results have no statistical significant difference from the baseline, which causes a bit of concern about the validity of those experiments. Next up, 4 out of 5, is the ImageNet dataset. Like I mentioned, it's a smaller version of the famous ImageNet, but with a bit more of a French pronunciation. There are 10 classes in this dataset as well. Firstly, results from the experiments with a window size of 10% are very poor, only about 40%. And with window size of 25%, they are still not really acceptable at about 70%. This amount of data reduction is unsuitable for this dataset. From a window size of 50%, results are improved. The forward direction seems preferable in all cases, except with a window size of 80 and 95%, where the reverse direction is better. Strange that the middle experiments of 85 and 90% do not follow this pattern, but sometimes it's just like that, I'm afraid. Finally, the micro-PCB dataset. This is a dataset of Arduino and similar microcontrollers with images taken at different viewing angles and rotations, very similar to the small node dataset I mentioned before. First, the window size of 10% shows performance barely different from random chance. And window size of 25% is better, but still not quite there, like what we saw before with the ImageNet dataset. From a window size of 50%, again, acceptable accuracies are achieved. However, while the accuracies are very high at above 99%, the results show similar fluctuations to those of the small node dataset. Also, like with that dataset, p-value calculations show no statistical significance from the baseline, suggesting that these results are a bit unstable. On the other hand, it suggests that results are very similar to the benchmark, which is what we want to achieve with data reduction. We want to reduce the amount of work done, but maintain performance. So, to conclude, we've demonstrated a novel method of data inclusion using sliding window method, which allows data reduction to lessen the computation used for training while making use of the full data set still. We perform data reduction in an ordered way instead of randomly excluding data points. We have shown less computational power is required to achieve a minimal loss in model performance, especially with the MNIST dataset, but more complex data suffers more from data reduction. We have identified that for a majority of cases, the forward direction is preferable. Centralmost data is more useful at the early stages of training, and lateralmost data is more useful at the later stages. This is very dependent on the dataset, however. Highly structured data does not follow this pattern, as we've seen by the small knob and micro PCB datasets. And there you have it. That's my research. Any questions?
I don't have any questions. Nice presentation, though.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity.
What are your limitations from your research? What do you observe?
Well, as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm focusing more on the data. So I have to, while doing all the experiments, I need to keep the same model so that it's consistent across all of them. And well, I've only got one machine. I'm not Google or Facebook. It's difficult to experiment on anything larger. I'm only working on small images. So one thing to look at is larger data sets, more classes, and just better architectures that are more commonly used, such as VGG or Inception and data sets like that, not data sets, models like that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Right.
Anyone else having questions?
No question for me.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation.
Thanks again.
Okay, let's move to the next presentation. And the next paper is Information Seeking Behavior of Extroverted and Introverted Students Using Public Transportation in the Metropolitan Area. And this will be presented by intern Dahayo. You can share your screen and start the presentation.
Okay. Okay, can you hear my voice, please? Okay, thank you. Good
Yes.
afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Have you ever tried a personality test before? Like, are you an extrovert or are you an introvert? If you already have your personality test, I hope you can be interested into this topic of this presentation. The topic of this presentation is information-seeking behavior of extrovert and introvert students using public transportation in the metropolitan area. My name is Intan Rayu Prasemtias. I'm working this research with my lecturer, Mrs. Rahmi, PhD. We are from Department of Library Science, Universitas Indonesia. Now let's move on to the outline of this presentation. And the background of this research is because the capital city of Indonesia, which is in Jakarta, there was a 19.28% rise in the use of public transport in 2021. The range of information sources can be influenced by individual seeking behavior patterns, which might be linked to personality traits. People can be broadly into two types. Maybe you already hear about the extrovert and introvert. And Marcy suggests that personality type differences can result in the differences in information access. However, as of now, there is no research in Indonesian metropolitan area has investigated about the public transportation in relation about the personality theory, especially in the context of information-seeking behavior. Now, I'm gonna highlight about the research question here, how information-seeking behavior can be influenced by personality type. And the purpose of this research is to examine the link between information-seeking behavior and travel habits of introvert and extrovert personality in conjunction with socio-demographic data using the MBTI theory. This is the literature review that I use. For the information-seeking behavior, I use the research by Wilson that is carried out internationally to meet needs and goals. For example, when you want to have a bus and you need information about the bus routes, and for the information and for the introvert and extrovert personality, personality is a characteristic difference between individuals in patterns of thinking, feeling, and behavior. Carl Jung is a psychology figures divided personality into 4 functions: sensation, intuition, thinking, and feeling. And the 4 functions are modified as an introvert and extrovert attitudes. And I'm gonna use this MBTI theory that Catherine Brick-Meyers already mentioned in 1923, that this theory is used to gender equality to categorize women based on their personality and thoughts. The MBTI theory is used to explore the relationship between the students' information-seeking behavior in using public transportation. And the methods of this research is a quantitative research, and I use the random sampling technique with SurveyMonkey applications. The study provided a descriptive analysis. The population is taken as an active students of Universitas Indonesia from batch 2019 until 2022, who use public transportation in the last 6 months and have taken the MBTI personality test. There were 361 active students respondents who use public transportation in the last 6 months. And we ran this survey starting from 16 September until 30 September 2022. And this is the data that I collected. For the demographic data, the most of respondents here are a female who live in Depok, and they are from Social and Humanities program. And most of them are from batch 2020-22. And the most respondents here is an introvert. And the next one, it's still for a demographic, like most of them are introvert, like from ENFG and AENFG. And most of them are not having a driver's license. And the next is the comparison between introvert and extrovert travel modes. It's already, as I already discussed, the related differences, travel mode, habits, and sources of informations that extrovert and introvert use. The introvert more prefer using a train, and extrovert more prefer using a train too. But the difference here for a second favorite of each personality is kind of different. Introvert more excited in using of bus, and extrovert is more excited to choose MRT or a subway for their second favorite public transportation. And the next one is their travel destination. Both of them use a public transportation for personal activities, to see a friend, to see family. And for the next is they travel plan. They both are planning their travel destination in home or campus. And for the information sources, they usually use word of mouth information sources. And the second is they use the information from the internet. And this is the payment method. Like the what's the difference of this research with another research? Like the additional variables that I use here, it's a payment methods. Like the results here, the respondents in my research, they are using a bank electronic cards to as the payment methods, like the travel cards or travel applications by the public transport have, they are not using in this research. And the findings of this research, the majority of public transportation users are dominated by women. Is it in line with the research already have in England? Most of the respondents are a woman, because women usually have more destination than men when they are using a public transportation. And there are more public transportation who are not having a driving license, and the younger students is more enthusiastic about the being respondent in searching information about the public transportation. And the result of the study showed that the most frequent use of the public transportation here is a train, and students with introvert personality have higher enthusiasm in planning trips at home or campus compared to extrovert personalities. And the next findings here, the majority of introvert and extrovert respondents prefer word of mouth sources than information sources by public transport providers. Both personality types are less enthusiastic about the payment method through travel application owned by public transportation providers. Introvert use the train more often, with the frequency 3 times a week, and the extrovert use this less than once a week. And this is the implication of this research. I use the variable by Yeboah. Yeboah already studied about information seeking behavior on public transport in the UK, but I use the additional variables here, which is a payment methods, priority modes of public transport, and priority sources of information. And this research has implication that internet page are one of the preferred sources of the information for introvert and extrovert when using public transportation. Extrovert and introvert top favorite information sources is word of mouth, and the uniqueness here is the second favorite of extrovert and introvert is kind of different. Like introverts prefer a bus and extrovert is prefer MRT, or maybe you will be similar with subway. And responders enthusiasm was dominated by female gender. And and this limitation of this research, the data collection in this study was carried out in the short period of time, just 2 weeks on data collections, and most of them only in big city in Indonesia who have a public transportation in the last 6 months. Respondent also only consists on undergraduate students, and random samplings are required in this research. cut like 100 respondents already filtered on this research. There is an invalid data, like not all respondents have a tendency to participate in this study. And this is the conclusion of this research. The level of enthusiasm of public transport can be determined by personality type. From this study, information-seeking behavior of extrovert and introvert students can be seen in the user of information to make a decision. The decision affects the travel behavior introvert and extrovert student in public transportation. Based on the results of this study, to organize the public transportation, I hope that it can be developed, will be better to the strategies, like especially if we're talking about the information sources, like the top favorites here is a word of mouth and internet page. So to provide the internet access and public transportation locations will be better in the future. That's all from me. If you have any question, please. Thank you.
If anyone is having any questions, then you can ask.
Very nice presentation. I have just one small query. Like, do you think changing the time span or changing the number of subjects will affect your findings or the conclusion you are saying? That will affect it? That means, what's your thought about that?
Okay, so the number of my respondents here that you already asked, first of all, thank you for your question. Because like we collected the data just in 2 weeks, so the most of the the entire university here are introverts. So if because like the large data that I've been used, it depends with the personality types of my respondents, because it is naturally filtered that the introvert are more excited about this, and it is have a implication with another research that I already mentioned. So it will be different if I collected more data into this research.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Any further questions?
No questions from my side.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Let's move to the next one. So the next presentation we are having is Mapping Research Trends of Library and Information Sciences in Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, and Thailand. And this will be presented by Luki Vijayanti. You can share your screen and start the presentation.
Okay, may I start share screen because okay, thank you. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's late already in Indonesia. Now it's almost sleeping time. Well, I'm Luki Vijayanti. Here I am accompanied by my colleagues, Ms. Anon Mirmani and Ms. Tamara Adriani Salim. We are lecturers in the Department of Library and Information Science, Faculty of Humanities, Universitas Indonesia. On behalf of my colleagues, I will present our research paper entitled Mapping Research Trends of Library and Information Science in Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines and Thailand. Well, this presentation will contain introduction, research questions, method, result, and conclusions. Dear research colleagues, Universitas Indonesia is as the oldest institution with library and information science education in Indonesia. Wants to see our position among our peers in ASEAN, namely the 3 countries providing library education in ASEAN. We feel that formerly we were left behind compared to the other Asian countries. That's why we want to see how is our position now compared to them. And I think the result of this study will provide an overview of the development of knowledge and expertise in the field of library and information science in 4 Asian countries. And we are happy that Indonesia now is much more better than this of the researchers in Thailand and Philippines, though we are still left behind compared to Malaysia. Scientists and academics can use communication channels to evaluate scientific communication by assessing publications that may reveal the development of science in a country, as well as the productivity of researchers and institutions that contribute most to that field, particularly in the library and information science field. This study discusses research mapping in the library and information science through performance analysis. We use bibliometrics method here. This is an analysis of published information, such as books, journals, articles, data sets, blogs, and its related metadata, such as abstracts, and also keywords, citations, using statistics to describe or show relationship between published works. Bibliometric studies are also widely used to map the growth of scientific research, author patterns, research collaborations, and author productivity. However, there is not yet any research related to LIS that evaluate or maps the growth of scientific research, author patterns, research collaborations, and author productivity for testing bibliometric theories and other theory within LIS disciplines, particularly in ASEAN. The main objective of this study is to map and evaluate the intellectual structure of the LIS field in Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, and Thailand in a decade from 2011 to 2021. On the LISTA database, we have our data from LISTA, Library and Information Science and Technology Abstract Database provided by EBSCO host, and using WS viewers as a visualizations tools. Well, this is our key research question, how to map and evaluate LIS research topics from 2011 to 2021, and then how to map and evaluate the most productive writers in that decade, and then how to map and evaluate the network of writers in the 10 years time, and how to see the most frequently used keywords in LIS from 2011 to 2021, especially in Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, and Thailand. We only take these 4 countries because we think that these 4 countries, these 3 other countries are our peers. Well, this bibliometric method has been widely applied in quantitative analysis in many fields of knowledge. This comprehensive method uses professional knowledge and techniques of mathematics, science, statistics, information science, philology, and other disciplines to analyze distributional regularities, intellectual basis, research trends, and evolutionary paths. In addition, information visualization proposed by Van Eck and Waldman in 2014 will be applied to focus on interactive visual representation of abstracts from LISTA data to strengthen human cognition, and this visualization techniques will be used in WS viewers. The study discusses research mapping in the ILS through performance analysis measurement. These variables concerns publications in LISTA about LIS with indicators that are limited to publication-related metrics. So you see here, TP, number of contributing authors, NCA, sole authored publication, SA, who authored publications, number of active years of publications, and productivity per active year of publication. To determine the number of entries on research development in predetermined Asian countries over 10 years, data collected seeks the results of research conducted in the LIS field using the author's country evaluation limitation during that decade research period. The search was done on LISTA, Library and Information Science and Technology Abstract Database provided by EBSCO host. The selected data is peer-reviewed and the sources type is an academic journals. The resulting data is stored in the form of RIS and CSV files. The search result data obtained is processed in WS viewers. We have that tool using the following steps. The first one, the first step, we create a network web with bibliographic data, and then we choose the data sources that is adjusted to the availability of data, and then select data files to be analyzed, and then we choose a type of data and analysis and calculation method using the following options: types of analysis, author shape, unit of analysis, author, and calculation method, full accounting. And the last one, we choose a threshold using the given constraint, a minimum number of occurrences of keywords. In our case, we only have 5 occurrences. The data obtained and processed using WS viewers is presented as data visualization per country, which describe the number of records and categorized using information science taxonomy by Hawkins. We use Hawkins. And then this is what our findings. Well, we have here, we have 438 records from Indonesia, and then Malaysia, we have 1,266 records. In the Philippines, we have 116 records, and Thailand, we have 231 records. The threshold result of data processing are as follows. Indonesian data, we have 2,773 keywords, and only 67 meet the threshold. And out of 7,827 keywords, only 424 meet the threshold from Malaysia. And then in Thailand, out of 1,864 keywords, only 41 meet the threshold. And the last, out of 861 keywords, only 14 meet the threshold. From the number of records searched in LISTA, Malaysia gained the biggest percentage, followed by Indonesia, Thailand, and the Philippines. Well, the 3 countries, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand, shared the common topics of information profession, the information industry, information technologies, electronic information system and services, and subject-specific sources and applications. The topics of knowledge organization and social issues were researched only in Malaysia and Thailand, and the topics of publishing and distributions was researched only in Indonesia and Malaysia. Finally, the topic of government and legal information issues were researched only in Malaysia. To sum up, in this pilot research, Malaysia dominates the development of research in the ILS field, followed by Indonesia, Thailand, and the Philippines. In each country, the same main topics emerge, namely information science research with different main subtopics for each country. Based on bibliometric analysis, the following fields trend to be the leading subject for LIS research: information science research, knowledge organization, the information profession, societal issues, the information industries, publishing and distribution, information technology, electronic information system and services, subject-specific sources and applications, and also the applications, library and library services, government and legal information, legal information and issues. I mean, now it's very little study on library and librarianship. Mostly it is shifting into information science. And this agrees with the result of research by Lamba and Madhu Sudan in 2019, I think, that they found that the development of knowledge and information technology in India, LIS has become a trending research topic, followed by open access, online exhibitions, virtual libraries, multimedia libraries, open source software, library automation, and library management system. Well, I think that's the difference between what we have in ASEAN and in India. In India, there are more shifting in the technology, but in ASEAN, we are talking about some things which is more content focused research. Okay, this is our the mapping of the map of our findings used VOS viewers. This one is from Malaysia, Indonesia, and then this one is from Thailand, and the list is from Philippines.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
I think almost 10 minutes are completed, so I would like to request you to please continue.
Okay, that's okay. We have finished. I have finished my presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anyone having any questions? If anyone is having any questions, then you can ask.
Very nice presentation, ma'am. Can you
Thank
please
you very much.
tell me how the threshold you have chosen in the bibliometric study for keywords and all? You have chosen some threshold value. Is it like random, or there is particularly some pattern in that?
Well, we use all patterns. We use only 5 occurrences. When we find more than 5 occurrences, then we choose the data from the lista.
Okay. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hope I answer your questions.
Anyone else having any questions?
Yeah, what is the outcome of your study?
Well, we want to see the map, our position in the Asian countries. Maybe, well, I have 2 colleagues here. Actually, as I told you before, that we really want to see the position of Indonesia, because we are the oldest institution that provide library education, and see how we are now compared to the other countries. Because 10 years before, formally, we feel that we are so left behind compared to them, but we never compared to Singapore because they are too advanced. So that's why we only choose our peers from Malaysia, Philippines, and Thailand, and we don't choose any other countries like Vietnam and Laos or Brunei, because, well, I think it's not our peers. Sorry to say. Yes, we just want to see our position compared to our peers, our chosen peers, because we choose ourselves, our peers. Thank you. Hope I answer your questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Let's move to the next one. So the next we have is the design of Smart Cane SC Plus, and this will be presented by Bonnie Young. You can share your screen and start the presentation.
Hi everyone, my name is Bonnie and my research supervisor is Dr. Maher Ashakankiri. We're both from the University of Toronto. This project is about designing the Smart Cane SC Plus that can help people with blindness and visual impairment navigate their surroundings. Today we will review the current problem, the existing mobility support without technology, the goals of this project and the investigation of related works, and the system architecture of the SC Plus. So vision loss is an emerging public health problem. In 2020, there were about 43 million people with blindness and 295 people with moderate to severe visual impairment worldwide. Eyesight is an important human sense because not only it helps optimize our daily activities, but it also allows us to perceive motion and stationary objects to protect ourselves from getting hurt. Blind and visually impaired people face obstacles outside their home, especially in new environments. Not every public and commercial space is easily accessible, so they rely on tools or service dogs that can help them while traveling outdoors. The traditional white cane is inexpensive and simple to use, but it cannot detect any obstacles farther than 2.5 feet from the holder. This means they cannot adjust early to avoid the obstacle ahead, which extends the time it takes to travel to their desired destination. The cane also cannot detect any hazards above the user's waist, such as tree branches or high tables. An alternative to the white cane is the guide dog, which can be a new best friend. The dog can guide the owner away from the obstacles. Although the guide dog is trained, the dog can get distracted by other pedestrians if they try to pet or call the dog, puts the owner in potential danger. At some point, the guide dog would eventually retire, and so the owner will have to train with another dog and create a new bond. And plus, the owner needs to be responsible for the food and the veterinary expenses. To overcome the drawbacks of a white cane and a guide dog, we should take advantage of the Internet of Things, which is a network of physical devices embedded with sensors, actuators, and software that can analyze a situation and exchange data. So the goals of the project are to design a smart cane that helps people with blindness and visual impairment increase their mobility, reduce the risk of injuries, and navigate outside their comfort zone easily with confidence. These related works gave me the inspiration that led to the creation of the SC Plus. In summary, like the first smart cane is connected to the Wi-Fi hotspot of the holder's phone to periodically notify their family through email of their location coordinates. The loudness, the buzzer, and the intensity of the vibration alerts them how far the obstacle is. The Smart Cane 1.0 have two ultrasonic sensors. One sensor detects barriers in front of the holder, and the other sensor detects like ground level hazards. In addition to having a buzzer and a vibration motor, they also wanted to send audio signals to their earphones. The cane is also connected to the holder smartphone via Bluetooth to allow them to send an SMS message to their emergency contact or ambulance through an app after the user pressed a button on the cane. The eval cane is mainly used for the elderly people, and it has a buzzer that produces sound when the cane falls or it detects an obstacle. It has multiple sensors that can detect the environmental temperature, the holder's gait, health status, and pressure applied on the cane's handle. And lastly, the smart stick detects any obstacles and water in the path. If the user misplaces their cane, they can locate it through the sounds of the buzzer, which is achieved by a radio frequency module. The location of the user can be tracked, and there is a panic button to alert their family for help. So all of these proposals illustrate how IoT can help protect the holder's safety, but it seems that the possible concerns that can arise from one smart cane can be solved by other smart canes. For example, all of these smart canes can reach out to their family member help except for the eval cane. So to overcome like some limitations found in the research, the Smart Cane SC Plus will have a combination of ideas with enhancement. The main power source of the SC Plus is a rechargeable battery, and it can turn on and off simply by a switch. Instead of having an Arduino Uno or Raspberry Pi, we're having a Bluno Beetle, which is like a mini microcontroller with Bluetooth. This size is more convenient as it adds less weight to the cane. The Bluno Beetle will be connected to two ultrasonic sensors. One is located at the top section of the shaft, and the other is located at the bottom section of the shaft. The vibration motor inside the grip is the actuator for the first sensor, and the vibration motor at the bottom section of the shaft is the actuator for the second sensor. With Bluetooth, the SC Plus app will be connected to the Smart Cane. The app can notify the holder through the earbud of the obstruction distance, and it can trigger a phone call and message when the emergency button is pressed. The GPS module is used instead of enabling location sharing on the smartphone due to privacy concerns. The GPS module will send the coordinates to the SC Plus app for emergencies. Extra materials that are not part of the IoT system are adjustable wristband and reflective tape. In case the user falls, the SC Plus will still be attached to the user with the help of the wristband, so that way the user does not need to scan the ground to find the cane. Reflective tape will help make the holder visible during the evening. So if the obstacle is within 2 feet, the cane will vibrate with high intensity for 3 seconds. Otherwise, the cane will vibrate with low intensity for 1 second. The time length of the vibration will help differentiate between short and long obstruction distances, so they can decide whether they need to adjust their course immediately. Which part of the cane vibrates depends on which sensor detects the obstacle. So if only the first sensor detects the obstacle, then the grip will vibrate. If only the second sensor detects the obstacle, then the bottom section of the shaft will vibrate. But what if both sensors detects different obstacles? The Smart Cane will identify which obstacle is the closest to the sensor, closest to the user, sorry, to determine which actuator to use. The distance calculation will be part of the code that will program the Bluno Beetle. Often will not stick out their cane too close to their body or too far from their body, so the variation of the angle between the cane and the ground won't be too large. Once we know the average angle while the holder is walking, we can use trigonometry to find the horizontal distance between the ultrasonic sensor and the holder, which are A1 and B1. It can be calculated as follows in the bottom right, where A3 and B3 are the diagonal between the cane's tip and the sensor, and A4 and B4 are the horizontal distances between the sensor and the cane's tip, and D is the horizontal distance between the holder and the cane's tip. Calculating the horizontal distances between the ultrasonic sensor and the obstacle, which are A2 and B2, requires the duration of the ultrasonic waves to hit the obstacles and return back to the sensor, and along with the angle of detection, which are alpha and beta in my figure, with respect to the horizontal. The distance between the holder and the obstacle detected by the first sensor is the sum of A1 and A2. And similarly, for the obstacle detected by the second sensor, the obstruction distance is the sum of B1 and B2. And in this example, the tree branch, which is detected by the first sensor, has the shortest obstruction, so the grip will vibrate. Wearing an earbud is not mandatory, but it's nice to have so the users can be notified approximately in feet how far the obstacle is located. Once the obstacle is detected, SC Plus will send data about the obstruction distance to the SC Plus app through Bluetooth, and then it will send push notifications to their phone stating, "Oh, obstacle is located X feet ahead." Notifications can be read by Siri or Google Assistant. After the user pressed the emergency button, the Smart Cane will send the longitude and the latitude of the location acquired from the GPS module to the SC Plus app. then the app will automatically message these coordinates to the user's emergency contact just in case the user does not know where they are. It will also start calling their emergency contact because receiving phone calls brings more attention than receiving text messages. The SMS message is used as a backup in case the family member missed the call. So the proposed SC Plus accomplished the first two goals by using sensors, vibrations, and audio signals, which help warn the users beforehand to adjust their course so they won't get hurt. When the first two goals are satisfied, plus the ability to have an emergency message or call with a simple click of a button, they will feel more confident to travel outdoors. Future work will focus on building the prototype of SC Plus on like a breadboard, writing the code to program the microcontroller, and lastly, testing the detection range and alerts to see if it's working accordingly to the flowchart previous slides. Thank you for.
Thank you for your presentation. If anyone is having any questions, then you can ask.
No question from my side. Nice presentation, though.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for presentation, but no questions.
Yeah, thank you for presentation. It's great. Hope it will be implemented soon. Thank you.
Thank
No
you.
question for me.
Thank you for your presentation. Let's move to the next one. So the next we are having is the role of digital competencies in improving well-being, and it will be presented by Nicoletta Leventi. You can share your screen and start the presentation.
Yes. Hello, just a minute, please, just to open and share my. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
Yes.
hear you.
Now, can
Yes,
you see my
yes.
screen?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Sorry for the delay, but I don't have very stable connection, so maybe I have to turn off again my camera after a while. So, my name is Nicoletta Leventi. I'm a physician, and I work as a chief assistant professor in the Medical University of Sofia in the Faculty of Public Health, Department Health Technology Assessment. And together with Professor Kalinka Kalyanova from the Sofia University St. Clement Ohridsky here in Sofia in Bulgaria, we wrote a paper with the theme and the role of digital competencies in improving well-being. The aim of this paper is to explore young people perceptions and feelings at the end of the pandemic from a specific point of view, the role of digital competencies and skills for digital health literacy and well-being. World Health Organization provides a definition of health that covers not only the absence of disease or infirmity, but also the provision of a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development presents a blueprint for peace and prosperity, accepted by all the United Nations member states, both for people and planet. The main pillars of the agenda are described as the 17th Sustainable Development Goals. The ATD3, the third priority direction, is focused on ways to ensure healthy lives and well-being for all at all ages. Well-being is a concept, as the concept is related to both individuals and societies. It is determined by social, economic, and environmental conditions and is perceived as a resource for daily life. A few words about the study and the method that we used. The research is determined by a specific instrument to measure health literacy, the COVID-19 Health Literacy Survey. It was developed by a research consortium of several institutions and consists of 4 sections of questions. The first section, it was about the personal information, some social demographic information. The second was life situation and future anxiety. The third about the health literacy and information seeking behavior. And the last one, the fourth, it was about the personal health situation. The DCOMP 2.2 the Digital Competencies Framework for Citizens in Europe has chosen as the most appropriate tool for evaluation of digital competencies in connection with the COVID-19 health literacy survey content. The research, in accordance with the main priorities, is focused on the connection between technology, the digital health transformation on the one side, and education, digital skills, and health literature as a tangible results on the other. The main focus for bridging the digital divide should be namely human development. Having the appropriate competencies and skills would help people make informed health decisions. The digital competence framework provides a common understanding of the meaning of digital competencies as well as guidance for digital skills evaluation. As a widespread framework, DICCOM 2.2, the Digital Competence Framework for Citizens in Europe, is a useful tool for the identification of digital skills. It presents 5 different competences areas that combine 21 skills. We are more interested about the competence area 1. It's talking about the information literacy was found as the most appropriate match for part of the COVID-19 health literacy survey questions due to the description of its level of proficiency associated with effective search and evaluation of digital resources. About the participants, the study took place at the Sofia University St. Clementowski and was conducted among its students. A total number of 221 students from 1,690 invited students from the Faculty of Mathematics and Informatics took part. The biggest part of the group that participated in the survey were undergraduate students. That was around 84% from the first to fourth year of their education. Students participated voluntarily and anonymity was provided. The survey was approved by the Sofia University Ethics Committee according to the committee's resolution. Now let's go through the results. We started the study with an analysis of the answer to questions that address digital health literacy, to question Q14 regarding how easy or difficult it is for the participant to search for information on the internet on topics and subjects related to the coronavirus. Were provided 3 options. The first is aimed at identifying the most applicable choice among all the provided information. The second, explore the ability to use the proper tools and wording to allocate the information of interest. Finally, the third investigated the participant's ability to obtain the exact information. A 4-point scale was used, as you see here, with the values very easy, difficult, and very difficult. Our study reveals high and stable DHL, digital health literacy levels of all responders. This derives also from the average volumes per provided option, where make a choice from all the information you find. Here we can see that 70.81% of the respondents find it easy or very easy. Use the proper words or search query to find the information you are looking for, even higher, namely 91.35% of the respondents answer again easy or very easy. And find the exact information you're looking for, 71.29% of the students reported that they find it easy or very easy again. To further evaluate DHLs, that means the digital health literacy levels, we analyzed the responses to question 16. The question offered 3 options to explore different characteristics of the internet search results on coronavirus or related topics. The focus was on how easy or difficult was at first to ensure the reliability of the information. The second option focused on whether the information was related to commercial interest, finding out if it was provided by people promoting the sales of some kind of products. Finally, the third option aimed to highlight sources such as websites that provide the same information. The answers follow again the same scale. So again, we have very easy, difficult, and very difficult. Of all participants, easy or very easy was reported for 59.03% of them to decide on the retrieved information and evaluate its reliability. for 66.34% to decide on the existence of commercial interest in the provided information by people aiming in selling concrete product sales. And for 81.56% to make the decision on information availability and evaluate whether the same information can be found on various websites and other sources. The evaluation now of the participants' well-being status was done by question Q27. 5 statements were used concerning their well-being during the last 2 weeks at the time we make the survey. The participants were asked to indicate for each of those statements which are closest to their feelings over the time window of the last 2 weeks. The first statement was related to the feeling of cheerfulness and, here we are, cheerfulness and good spirits. The second statement was focused on their feeling of calm and relaxation. Whether they were feeling active and vigorous while exploring the third statement. The pre-final fourth statement investigated the feeling of freshness and restfulness. And finally, the fifth statement was on the participants' daily life, focused on whether it has been filled with interesting things for them. The evaluation was conducted based on a scale with the options all of the time, we started here, most of the time, more than half of the time, less than half of the time, some of the time, and no time. The results, of course, are provided here, and what we can see that more of the time, here are regarding the 5 statements, the results, most of the time and all of the times we have the best results. But here we're not talking individually, okay? We're talking about the whole number of the participants for the answer to this survey. Our conclusions. According to our study on the digital health literacy and information handling skills of computing students at Sofia University, Faculty of Mathematics and Informatics, what we can say that the high levels of digital proficiency in computing students lead to good digital health literacy and can be seen as a useful and positive source of enhancing well-being for them. Although the main objectives of the used questionnaire were different, our study derived significant and useful patterns. Further serious results in this direction can be achieved with more targeted questionnaires. Enhancing digital skills in educational programs in areas different than the computing area has a big potential for improving both digital health literacy and young people's well-being. The work on the presented study was supported by the project MeHealthy, Mental Health Literacy and Diversity, which was funded by the Erasmus Plus program and the Partnership for Cooperation and the national program Young Researchers and Postdoctorates too. Here are all the references. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much for your presentation. If anyone is having any questions, then you can ask.
Nice presentation. No question from my side.
Anyone else having any questions?
No question from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. So I sincerely thank our authors for their excellent presentation and contribution in this session, and all our participants for being a part of this international conference. I hope this session was informative enough. We, on behalf of the whole team, thank you for the support during the 7th version and all the previous 6 versions of the conference. We will be happy to have you in the 8th version in 2024. All the presenters would be getting their digital certificates through email within 2 working days. Further, all the papers have already been forwarded to the Springer. The publication will be live within 6 months. Kindly cooperate with the team of WS4 2023. And I also thank our session chairs, Dr. Shafi Pathan and Dr. Bitan Mishra, for being a part of this event, and a token of appreciation to the chair on the behalf of the whole team World S4 2023 and Global Knowledge Research Foundation and partners. Thank you for your valuable presence. And if you want to give your reviews for today's session, then you can.
Thank you for this wonderful
you.
session. And thank you, especially Harsh and Gargi, for the wonderful coordination. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you so
Thank you, Gargi and team. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice.
I would like to request you all to please turn on the camera so that we can take a quick snapshot. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You. All right then.